Thank you so much for coming. So I have a series of quick announcements, of course, and then I'm going to do a mini fun micro presentation, and then I'll introduce Brewster Kale. This is our first year at the Gray Area Foundation for the Arts, and they've been a fabulous partner. So please give me a round for the Gray Area. So Gray Area works at the intersection of art and culture and technology. In some ways, their closest analog, for those of you in New York, is I-Beam. Gray Area is funded in part by the National Endowment for the Arts and also is supported by a wide range of organizations and companies here in San Francisco. They do fabulous work. They often work with Swissnex, which is hosting our Hack Day. And they do incredible digital media projects as well. So after this conference is over, please stop back again at Gray Area and give them your support. Josette, who is the executive director, is in the back. Josette, can you wave? Also want to thank her staff who've been helping us over the last few days, Seabrook and Melissa. If you guys are around, I don't know. Okay, so thank you so much for all your help. It's Melissa's birthday. Yay! All right, happy birthday. So I also want to thank my partners in this, the Frankfurt Book Fair. There's a large team of us from associated with Frankfurt here. Thomas Minkus is, where is Thomas? He's hiding. Johannes Minkus is standing at our soundboard right here and making our electronics work. Grace Moss has been at the front. Hannah Johnson is back there. Ed Nowatka is somewhere here. So thank you all to my colleagues and friends at Frankfurt. Also want to thank Swissnex for hosting the Hack Day on Friday, and to all of our financial sponsors. Andrew W. Mellon generously supported the conference again this year, so thank you for that. The W3C is a co-sponsor, and also Safari has, again, given generously for us, so thank you very much for that. Other sponsors this year include Sony, DADC, Perseus, Firebrand, eBook Architects, and NetGalley, Voyager Japan, PepCon, and LeanPub. So let me have a round for our sponsors who helped make this happen. So some logistics, the ground shakes here. So I think probably, I don't know, I'll have to ask, Josette is, I think the thing to do is probably exit casually and comfortably, but we'll get confirmation for that so that there are no surprises. There are two bathrooms. So Josette, in case of ground shaking, the thing to do is?
There's exits here. So these exit straight out to Mission Street. And then you can also exit through the lobby.
Okay, so exits on either side. You can see them down on the side. Exit out to the street, or exit in the back out again to the street through the lobby. Okay, so there are two bathrooms out in front, one on each side. So there are a number of us, so please be considerate and don't all rush at the same time at breaks. Let's see, what else? Food will always be set out in the lobby area out here, and it should be available most of the time over the course of the next 2 days, so help yourself. Hashtag VIB14. The network, there's been some signage up previously, but it's Gray Area, not Gray Area Theater. Don't try to get onto that one. That's a more limited network. So Gray Area, books and browsers, lowercase, no demarcations. And let us know if you have any problems with that. Thank you also to Josette for doing this amazing last-minute rush to give us the kind of network we expected to need here. So it was a huge amount of work to get working. So speakers, before your session, if you could gather where Brewster is here, and then we'll line you up at the end of a panel of talks here on stage, and we'll do a quick Q&A. Also pay attention, please, speakers. I do have a darkroom timer here, a la Internet Archive from the last couple of years. So please pay attention to that when the light goes on. That means your time is running short. So with that, I just want to give a very quick, odd introduction, and perhaps the only time I've ever done this, an ode to the past, and I just want to dive through some odd coincidences and make them apparent for us. So yesterday, or the day before, I was having lunch with my friend Pam Samuelson on the Berkeley campus, and there was this guy handing out Bibles, and lots of little Bibles, and they were, of course, all alike. And that immediately, of course, made me think of this guy, Johann Gutenberg, who, with some friends, Johann Fust, and on the right, Peter Scheffer, invented this, the printing press, with movable metal type. And then they, of course, helped print about 190 copies of that, the Gutenberg Bible, of which about 48 copies still exist. And close up, that looks kind of like that, which is pretty amazing, actually. Nothing that you could do by hand, certainly. And all the copies of the Bible were pretty much alike, just like the guy at Berkeley, although at a different scale. But it was very expensive for Fust and Gutenberg and Schoeffer to make these Bibles, and so they had to sell them. And so they scurried up to this town where there was a trade fair every year, a couple times a year, but a big trade fair. That town was called Frankfurt. And at Frankfurt, they sold a large number of Bibles, maybe not quite enough. And so Johann Fust, who was the financier for Gutenberg, filed suit against Gutenberg and for mismanagement of funds, essentially, and it did not end very happily. And so Peter Scheffer and Fust wound up going off on their own separate ways, and Gutenberg pretty much didn't do much printing after that. So this is Peter Scheffer, who is an interesting fellow in many ways. He kind of created the first publishing firm, and indeed the first publishing colophon, and this is it here at the bottom of the page. And eventually, after Johann Fust, who was his father, actually, wound up creating his own publishing company, really one of the first in Europe, and became extraordinarily well known as the producer of some of the most beautiful printed books in the history of the book, and they look like this. And developing real multicolor layouts using printed ink and, of course, manual page layout and positioning. So really quite phenomenal works that he put together. And I should say, on the prior sheet, notice the marginalia there? I'll return to that in just a second. And just beautiful, beautiful layout here. And like any major publisher, of course, or any small one, Peter Scheffer had to sell his books, and he continued to bring books to this place, Frankfurt, and indeed helped establish what became the Frankfurt Book Fair. So the Frankfurt Book Fair, in large degree, extends all the way back about 550 years to the work that Gutenberg did indeed develop and start introducing. And here we start coming full circle because this is my current employer's Gutenberg Bible, the New York Public Library, which brought the first Gutenberg Bible into the United States, courtesy of a man named Lennox, whose collection helped form the New York Public Library. And of course, one of my other sponsors, Hypothesis, bringing annotation to the web, and our co-producer, the Frankfurt Book Fair, returning to the goals of Johann Gutenberg of spreading light and knowledge across the world with as much beauty as possible. And so that is today our task today and tomorrow to figure out how to share and spread light and learning using the web across a distance and space that Gutenberg and Peter Scheffer could never have imagined. And I'll leave you with this, a concept that we are still thinking back, not just to the book, but perhaps to the illuminated manuscript. This observation: the early printers sought to reproduce through typography and printing what the scribe accomplished through quill and ink. So thank you. So now I would like to introduce Brewster Kahle, who is perhaps responsible for more than any defining what a modern digital library is. Brewster is the librarian of the Internet Archive and has been the generous host and supporter of books and browsers for many years. So please join me in welcoming Brewster Kahle.